Okay, good afternoon. This next worksheet we're going to be going over called Algebraic Operations with Perfect Squares and Cubes. So we're not only going to do that, the squaring part, we're also going to be square rooting and cube rooting. So if you want to write that in as well. So we're going to be doing square roots and cube roots. Okay, just like we went over in the lesson on the video from the board. Alright, starting with number 1, we have k cubed equals negative 1728. So, to inverse of the cube function is cube root. So I'm going to cube root both sides. So the cube and the cube root cancel each other, and k is going to equal the cube root of negative 1728. Just using my calculator here, and the answer is negative 12. Again, notice I have to cube root. Number 2, n squared equals 16. To cancel a square, I need to square root. So n equals the square root of 16, which could be either positive or negative 4. Notice I have 2 answers there, but in the previous question I only had 1. So watch yourself when you're doing these. So next one, g to the 3rd power. I need to cube root that and cube root this other number on the right hand side. So cube and cube root cancel. G equals negative. The reason why I get negative because there's a negative here, unlike this one. Okay. So now cube root of negative 4096 is negative 16. Now we're back to square rooting, because m squared, square root both sides, m equals plus or minus 3. Keep that in mind. If you ever want to double check, 3 times 3 is equal to 9. Negative 3 times negative 3 is equal to 9. That's why we have 2 answers. Alright, here we have the cube function. So the inverse of that is cube root. So I will cube root both sides. W equals the cube root of 2197, which is 13. The one thing I want you to keep in mind that when I took a cube root of a negative number, I got a negative result. The cube root of a positive number is a positive result. Number 6, square. The inverse of squaring, square root. Square root. D is going to be plus or minus 15. Now here's a bonus question. Call this 6b. If d squared is equal to negative 16. So if you solve this one, I would square root both sides, and d equals, you get an error. You cannot take the square root of a negative number. So you can't do this type of problem. Again, it only involves square roots. You can do a cube root though. Cube root of a negative number is negative. Alright, I'm just going to do a few of these on top. So here we have the square root function. The opposite of square root function, I'm just going to square both sides. X equals 18 squared. And that gives us 324. Okay, number 8. Same thing here, square root of s equals 6. I want to square both sides. So the square root cancel. S equals 6 squared, which is 36. Number 9, square root of h is equal to 12. I'm going to square both sides. H equals 12 squared, which is 144. Now if you don't have a calculator with a square function, you can just do 12 times 12. That does mean 12 squared. Now you can go ahead and do these. We're just going to square all these all the way through. I'll let you do those and get your final answers. Okay, number 13. Jump into the bottom here. Here we have the cube root function all the way through, and I want to cube both sides. So that'll give me b equals 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3, which gives me 27. Okay. 14 is done the very same way. Cube root of v is equal to 16. I want to cube both sides. So cube and cube root cancel each other, and so v equals 16 cubed. Again, that's 16 times 16 times another 16. So watch yourself on those. It's not 16 times 3, it's 16 times 16 times 16, which is 4,096. And let's do one more problem. Okay, again, cube root of c equals -6. I'm going to cube. This time I'm going to put parentheses in to let you know you can do that. Cube both sides. Now you get c is equal to -6 times -6 times -6, which is -216. Okay. Again, be aware of when you do these, sometimes you do get a positive answer, sometimes you do get a negative answer. Negatives give you negatives, but positives give you positives. So 16, 17, 18 done the exact same way. You're going to cube both sides, cube both sides, cube both sides. Again, make sure you're watching that you're cubing numbers. Okay, and over here, same thing. You're not timesing, you're cubing them, so keep that in mind. Alright, good luck on your next worksheet, and have